Mr. Johndreau, question to you. The council recently approved hiring incentives. Do you agree with this program, and what other ideas do you have to decrease employee turnover?
I was here when they were talking about some of that, and I like some of it. Something I had never thought of, they mentioned specifically being able to carry some of the leave over from a previous job into their new position. And I had never thought about that, but sure, if somebody leaves a job somewhere else, they're going to start here with a zero balance of leave. And I think there's definitely something to be said for that. I've seen too many cash incentives that were a result of throwing money at a problem. We do have a high turnover, an unacceptably high turnover. One of the things that I've actually been talking to people about is finding out through exit interviews, talking with people who have been there, talking to the folks who are in management now, what's their perspective there, what's going on. We've got some data that shows it's a problem, it's not going away, and it's very expensive for our town. So it's got to be looked into.
All right, Ms. Bassett, the council recently approved hiring incentives. Do you agree with this program, and what other ideas do you have to decrease employee turnover?
I don't necessarily agree with the what was entirely proposed. Being a business owner, I certainly wouldn't be giving any kind of incentives within 30 days of employment. You have an ROI on every employee that you hire, so I wouldn't look at giving any type of incentive until a 90-day period they work for 90 days, because again, you have ROI that you invest into that person. That's what I would like to see, is a 90-day before you give any type of incentive, because you're going to know at that time whether that person's going to stay or not, and you're not investing dollars into that in person and paying them or giving them a $200 or $500 incentive within 30 days. So I don't agree with that 30-day incentive.
All right, Ms. Bassett, question to you. The city's current budget is just over $16.2 million, with a property tax asking of just over $1.1 million. Do you believe that is an appropriate ratio? Why or why not?
From my understanding, there was an increase of 3% over last year's budget. Is that correct in my assumption?
That's pretty close, yes. I don't have
What I don't understand is how we can incur a 3% increase in the budget over last year when half the country was shut down by their presidential declaration for economic shutdown. So I'm having a hard time understanding how the city of Chadron had a 3% increase over last year's budget. So I don't necessarily agree with that 3% increase, and I didn't see the actual final budget posted anywhere on the Chadron City Council's, Chadron City's website to actually look into what caused that 3% increase and the increase in the water bill or anything like that. So I can't really comment logically or educatedly. Having a degree in economics, I just don't understand that 3% increase.
All right. Mr. Johndreau, the city's current budget is just over $16.2 million, with a property tax asking of just over $1.1 million. Do you believe that is an appropriate ratio? Why or why not?
An appropriate ratio. That's kind of a hard one to when you put it like that, that's a tough one. It sounds like a lot of money because it is. But when you look at the budget and you start looking at the line items and what things cost, and then when you think about breaking that down, that's, for the lack of a better way to put it, that's the price of doing business. We can start talking about cutting things, and when you start to burn down the factory to pay the bills or tear apart the walls to keep the fires going, it's a slippery slope. So I'm pretty hawkish on budget. I'm really conservative on how we spend our money, but I also understand that when we're bringing in that revenue and we're spending it here in the town on the town, that's investing in the town. And like AJ said earlier, when we've got some of these things that are looking run down, we've got to be aware of that. Well, a budget is no different than that. If we don't pay attention to our budget and how we're presenting our town economically, it's going to show it fast, and we're going to be negatively affected.
All right, Mr. Johndreau, question to you. Should the city consider a water rate increase in order to accomplish additional renovations spelled out in the master water plan?
I wish I was more familiar with that issue. I've been here for a few meetings when they've talked about it, and frankly, that's one of the things I've been trying to chase to understand it. Like I said, we moved here about 4 years ago, and I've been paying attention to my water bill. There again, to meet the regulations, we've got to invest in our infrastructure. And for our infrastructure to support any growth, we've got to be looking towards the future. And none of that is going to come cheap. As far as an increase, I'm hesitant on that increase. I'd like to see exactly what we're trying to accomplish, the timetable that we're trying to accomplish it in, and what we expect when it's done, and how long we can stabilize our prices then. If we have to look at an increase, does that mean that increase is going to last for the long haul, or is that increase one of many to be expected to chase these developments? So I get it. We've got to be, again, investing in these things, and I understand what it takes, but I'm pretty hawkish on budget. I'd like to know more.
All right. Ms. Bassett, should the city consider a water rate increase in order to accomplish additional renovations spelled out in the master water plan?
No, absolutely not. I think that the city, again, should look at hiring grant writers to offset some of these expenditures that they're looking at doing. There is money, grant dollars, federal grant dollars, that can be applied for to offset some of these infrastructure programs that the city is proposing. I've yet to, looking at last year's budget, I didn't see anywhere in that budget where there was a grant writer at all. So, no, I don't agree with raising the water bill at all. I think that we need to be able to be frugal with our money and look towards what type of federal grant programs are out there to offset some of these programs that we want to do without reverting to increasing taxes on the constituents of Chadron.
All right, Ms. Bassett, question back to you again. Should the Chadron city manager be allowed to live outside of the city and county?
No. It's in the city ordinance that he used to live inside the city limits, as well as several other people that are serving as city officials in Chadron.
Okay, Mr. Johndreau, should the Chadron city manager be allowed to live outside of the city or county?
If we have a bylaw in the books that says otherwise, we need to be following that. If we have a rule, we need to be following it, we need to be upholding that, we need to be holding everyone equally to that. If there is a rule, which I'm not aware if we do or not, that says that person needs to be living within Chadron, yes, absolutely. I've had a number of people bring that up to me. I understand their concern and frustration, and it's something that I'd like to know more about. There again, I'm not aware of how we have our rules and expectations written for those positions. I know it's not unreasonable for a person to be expected, a city servant to be living within a certain time or distance of the town that they're representing. I'm all for it. If we don't have something on the books, I believe we should have. We're putting a lot of trust in that person to be representing Chadron and advocating for them. They should be living here. If we don't, then we can't expect them to abide by a rule that we don't have.
All right, Mr. Johndreau, question back to you. What do you believe the city's role should be in COVID management or prevention?
I was waiting for a COVID question. I'm impressed it took this long. I expect people to be accountable for themselves. I'm pretty unsettled at the level of government intervention that's been placed upon people in the name of this flu. I get it. I don't doubt it. I understand that COVID is something serious, but it seems that there's been an overreach at the upper levels on how this was done and what people were mandated to do. I take the whole mask thing as if I see someone's house that says kindly remove your shoes before you enter our house, I kindly remove my shoes. It's their home. If a business says we ask that you wear masks, wear a mask. If it's not something important to them but you want to wear a mask, if that's your prerogative, wear the mask. I'm not here to judge anybody on how they do it, but government needs to stay out of, they need to know their place. I'm here to look for advocating for Chadron, not telling people how to run their lives, run their businesses, and manage their places that they're privileged to have out of paying taxes.
Time.
All right, Ms. Bassett, what do you believe the city's role should be in COVID management or prevention?
I've traveled all over the United States in different areas in the last 12 weeks. And, you know, businesses do mandate, you know, you wear a mask. And I think that's up to the business. As far as the government overreaching, you know, the government of Louisiana has been sued for overreaching their overreaching. So there's a potential for a lawsuit for the government to overreach. It's a violation of the Second Amendment rights. So I think it's up to the businesses to, you know, if they want people to visit and frequent their businesses, they should wear a mask if that's what they want to do. But, you know, having the government mandating it to individuals, I don't think that's right. I think it's an overreach.
All right, we did have business cards or note cards in the back. Do we have any questions from the audience submitted?
Oh, come on, somebody ask me a
Anything on the
question.
phone? All right. Well, that looks like that will wrap that up. We are getting close to time anyway, so we will start with closing arguments, and we will let Ms. Bassett go first.
You let me go first.
Unless she wants to defer. We'll
Defer to him.
All
Y'all
right.
let first the opening statement.
Mr. Johndreau, you can go first on closing statements. Again, 60 seconds.
Everybody that's attended, I want to thank them. I see a few faces that up here that I've been able to talk to over the course of the summer. Anybody that's taken the time to talk to me over the course of the summer, I want to personally thank them. Thank KCSR for putting this on. You know, my only motivation, my primary motivation, I should say, for being on the city council is to advocate for the city of Chadron and its residents. I think we have a lot to offer here. We've been here for over 100 years. I'd like to see this going on. It's a great place. I moved here specifically for the better being of my family and the ability to get to things conveniently and accessibly and comfortably, and it's been everything we could have ever hoped for. It's been a great move for us, and I'd like to give back to the town, and I'd like to help continue to see Chadron stay strong.
All right, Ms. Bassett, 60 seconds.
I'd like to thank everybody who came out tonight, and for y'all to put and to invite me. I actually accepted this time, and you know, this is my hometown. I grew up here. I'd like to see some good things happen. It's been a long time. The railroad pulled out many years ago. I'd like to see a little bit of what we seen when the railroad was here. More prosperity, more businesses coming in, better infrastructure, better roads, and you know, lessen the taxation on those individuals that are here 12 months out of the year, not and stop catering so much to the college. So thank you.
Thank you again, candidates, for joining us. And that is it for the Chadron City Council. We will take a quick break, and then we will come back with the candidates for the Dawes County Commissioners race.